This is for fairly advanced students. I'm just going to go through this pattern and let's look at what happens. You'll see it kind of develop as we. What's 20 divided by 40? That would be a half. Okay. What's 20 divided by 20? Well, if you've got the same number divided by the same number, that's definitely 1. Keep watching, by the way, if you're thinking this is too easy, it's going to rapidly get more complicated. We'll learn a couple of interesting things, I think. What's 20 divided by 10? That'd be 2. What's 20 divided by 5? That would be 4. Wait, we could keep making the bottom number smaller and smaller and smaller. What's 20 divided by 1? That'd be 20, wouldn't it? What about 20 divided by 0.5? Some teachers will tell you off because you're combining fractions with decimals. I'm kind of okay with this, but I wouldn't leave it as my final answer ever. Well, that's got to get even larger. And you can just count out your 0.5s and realise there's 40 of them in there. Let's just keep going a bit higher. What's 20 divided by 0.1? That's 200. And finally, getting to, I think, quite an interesting one here. What's 20 divided by 0? Well, as we make the number on the bottom smaller and smaller and smaller, the answer gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes infinitely large. I'll come back to that in a moment. Because you might be going, wait, but we'll deal with it in a sec. What's 20 divided by 80? Well, that's a quarter. You can do the same argument where you keep making the bottom bigger and bigger and bigger. What if you make the bottom infinitely large? Then that's 0. I said I was going to come back to something. By the way, hopefully that's helped a bit, kind of understanding a little bit what happens with fractions and some when you go to extremes, and this can be very useful for kind of advanced problem solving. Anyway, just want to say, what is infinity? Infinity is an infinitely large number. If you go to university to study maths, you discover lots of interesting things about infinity, and for a lot of us, including me, the main thing I discover is, whoa, I'm not even sure I understand what infinity is because of the way it's explained. But I still, maybe I'm overconfident. I still think I kind of know what it means. To me, it means a number that is just so big you can't count it. So maybe it's not even possible to have infinity because maybe we live in a finite universe, which means it's a completely abstract concept and it doesn't exist. Well, in which case we're doing maths with something which doesn't really exist. So anyway, you can get quite pernickety about this or quite philosophical and say, well, you can't really do this. In which case you just say, what you do is you make it 20 and then you divide it by a small number. And then you put an arrow and you say it tends to infinity. That's kind of a way that you can write it. There's loads of other ways of writing it. Anyway, I'll stop now. Hopefully that was a helpful way of doing some more thinking about fractions using that pattern, which you'll have seen me use in lots of other situations if you've watched some other videos.